A woman hasn't raced in Formula One for 43 years.
18 women compete in 6 races across Europe.
A new generation of women drivers are determined to take on the men at their own game.
It's time for women's motorsport.
We want the best to go into Formula One in future years.
You will find out those who think they've got the commitment and those who truly have the commitment.
Welcome to W Series.
And she spun around. Huge crash there.
Successful drivers don't have to be male.
Jamie Chadwick, Mats Gavizzen, Marta Garcia, Emma Kymäläinen.
There's a racing superstar within the ranks.
If W Series doesn't succeed, we would have let down a whole generation.
Two races in, the W Series shifts gear. Hockenheim's off Finland's Emma Kymäläinen. T-boned out of contention. And British rival Jamie Chadwick raced to victory. Whilst in Zolder, it was Dutch delight for Bijtske-Visser ahead of a battling British duo of Jamie and Alice Powell.
Oh, contact!
Now, race 3 brings the drivers to the Italian coast and a track many of them know. The Misano World Circuit.
I was so motivated and full of energy going to Misano. I won both races of the Ferrari Challenge there.
I think it's a really cool circuit. Last year I won my championship on this track, so it's a special place to me.
It's my home race. My family's coming, my friends are coming. You know, I want to do well.
Italian Vicky Piria is a fan favourite here. But with just 2 points so far, she hasn't made an ideal start and is currently 9th in the championship.
I started racing when I was around 8 years old, and it all happened because my dad, he was really passionate about racing. I remember Saturday was the horse riding day, and then all of a sudden Sundays we were going to this go-kart track just outside Milan. I'm very competitive, and I just really wanted to give it a go. And then I got called when I was 18 to do GP3, which was a huge thing. There were suddenly people investing money on me. I had sponsors and everything, and you know, everything changed. My first race in single-seaters was in Misano in Formula Renault 2000. I remember it was overwhelming completely, stepping from a little go-kart track, then you have mechanics, engineers. It was crazy. Misano was a special place for me. I did a lot of testing there, and when I found out it was on the W Series calendar, I was just thrilled. My dad said to me that he knew that I'd switch and be competitive from Misano onwards, and the first 2 races I'd struggle, which is what happened.
Despite early setbacks, Vicky has taken solace from an unlikely source.
Marta's like my little sister. I felt that I bonded a lot with her. I look up to her, even though she's like 7 years younger than me. She's a bit more Latin, it's just like me, and we just escape in our world where we speak our mixed Spanish-Italian, no one understands, and it feels really cool.
She's like so loud, like she's always like, Marta, vieni qua per vedere questo. E tanto così. I just talk in Italian.
She won't tell you, but she's got really bad hair. When she gets out of the podium, she has to make sure her hair stays nice and straight because she's got curly hair. She'd be, no, porque ero rápida, pero bueno, tenía un po' di oversteer. Así que, pero bueno, no me gusta.
My friendship with Vicky Piria, I think it's quite well. She's supporting me a lot. It's great to have a friend in motorsport.
But friendships count for little with racing director Dave Ryan. After 40 years in motorsport, he knows there's no room for sentiment.
We said from the very beginning of this championship that If drivers weren't performing, we wouldn't carry them through. So we were dropping reserve drivers in and out of the races as I could.
There's maybe 2 other drivers in our 18 who aren't impressing me much at the moment. Megan's not performing as she should, and Sabre Cook isn't either. So they're both capable of being very quick. Overall, both of them have been quite disappointing.
Going into Misano, after 2 really, tough opening races, there was definitely pressure.
In the last race, Dave gave reserve drivers Sarah Bovey and Vivien Keszthelyi the chance to compete. With Emma still injured and the axe hanging over Megan Gilks and Sabre Cook, Dave decides to keep both reserves in the competition.
So if Vivien and Sarah between them do a good enough job, then it could well be that we have a change for the next event.
It's the first time you come into the weekend knowing that you're doing all the driving, isn't it? Is it a different feeling?
Yeah, it's great.
Vivien's an interesting driver. She's got a lot of potential. I think she could be quite quick. She's easily influenced by other people. Her boyfriend is also a racing driver and quite a strong character.
Vivien's boyfriend is David Schumacher, nephew of the most successful F1 driver of all time, Michael.
See, he still can't catch you. He's not as quick as you yet, Vivien.
What?
He's only done a 31.8. He needs to do a 30.4.
It was really helpful to have David alongside me. David can help me a lot in racing, and we never had that rival or anything like this.
Was it more over or understeer in this corner?
In the end, was more oversteering. After the exit, there was 0 grip.
Then it would have been better if you shift up 1 more gear. In 4th gear, then it would be better for the rear.
With a driver so young and with so little experience, this is a huge step for her. So to not be last is the main goal. You were the fastest driver of anybody in a straight line at that point. It's sometimes difficult for Vivien because she has to think, do I listen to my boyfriend who I spend all the time with, or my engineer who's telling me what to do? And her boyfriend races very much similar car in another championship. They've got a completely different tyre, a lot more grip. So some of the information he gives her, I do have to rein in a little bit because it's not applicable to the car that we're running in. We've reached a happy compromise. If he has some suggestions, he comes via me first.
Differences settled, it's on to qualifying.
Vivien, that's really good. We are P11, we are P11. Well done.
For stunt specialist Jess Hawkins, however, it's frustration again. She's consistently quick in practice, but failing when it matters.
We analyze. Not the result we expected, for sure.
It's going to click, it's just when. I can feel it, like I'm a lot closer than what I was when I started.
Yeah, she did that.
Vicky, though, is making progress.
I did quite a few consistent laps. I'm pissed off with Alice because she beat me the last lap by half a tenth.
Powell's leapfrogged onto the 2nd row of the grid.
Alice on course again to challenge Jamie and Beitska, who again start ahead of her. But it's a new driver at the front.
Vivien Keszthelyi, who's taken pole position.
I think that was the best lap I did in my entire career. Every apex, everything was perfect. And I saw the checkered flag and my engineer was like still 1. I was like, oh my God, because I was really afraid that Jamie and Beitska are gonna catch me in the very last laps.
So for this 3rd race, Vicky starts 5th, 2 places ahead of her best friend Marta Garcia, whilst 2nd row sitters Alice and Beitska look to muscle out Jamie and Fabian up front.
That's the first pole position for Vivien Keszthelyi, and also her first ever in single-seaters.
I was standing there for the real start and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna nail it.
Can Vivien Keszthelyi become another winner in this series?
Lights out on another dramatic start.
Fabian didn't see me on the left-hand side. Beitska went to the right of her.
And I watched the mirror and I saw Alice humming like a rock and I was like, oh my God.
Saw Fabian's that didn't start well at all. She kind of went on the defensive and tried to close the door to Alice.
She was obviously being squeezed slightly by Beitska.
But I was in a sandwich between her and Beitska and then she just...
And there's a huge crash there.
was sent flying through the air, and I was in the gravel and was pretty disappointed, to be honest.
Frustration for Alice Powell because she was looking for a good race.
Obviously, I was hoping Alice was fine, but I didn't really care at that stage. I was just like trying to get as far ahead as I could.
Alice out, Vicky up to 4th, but not for long.
That is a brave move.
Yeah, I think Piria actually had a bit of a trouble coming out of turn number 6. She struggled to get the power down, and that allowed Koyama just to run round the outside.
Driving is all about perfection. I wasn't quite there. I still lacked a bit of experience and knowledge of this new car for me.
Vicky slips back as the usual suspects dominate.
Bikes are now starting to put the pressure on Jamie Chadwick. This championship is definitely hotting up now.
I had a good start. I was behind Jamie. I felt like I had the pace over her, but Misano was a very difficult track to overtake.
She's had to work for it, but she becomes the first double winner of the W Series.
Yes! Come on!
Great job, Jamie.
I just tried to pressure on her the whole race to see if she would make a mistake, but she's good enough and experienced enough to handle the pressure.
Bikes kept me so honest, I just didn't want to make any mistakes, and yeah, just so happy.
Jamie, Bikeska and Fabian share the spoils. Vital points, if not perfection, for Vicky, who finishes ahead of Marta.
You went wide and she
No,
took
when
the opportunity.
when I went out, I was on power in second gear, and maybe for some reason when I was on the curb, it's like the car didn't pick up fuel, and I had I didn't. We have to look at the data because it didn't do it again.
So finish 5th, is good.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, it's fine.
Once again, Jess fails to score a point.
On the bright side, we were P3 in both practices, so that we're certainly headed in the right direction. I really hope that that's a sign of things to come.
Better news for Sabra, a top 8 finish gets her off the hook.
I was getting worried about you.
I know, I was very frustrated.
But Megan disappoints again, and she's not alone.
Megan can't be happy with the performance. Marta needs to step her game up, you know, she's really good, but she was still 6th today, and she's capable of an awful lot more.
What motivates me into racing, I think it's the competition and also the speed and the adrenaline. I think all of that together, it makes it great.
Mark?
Well, I'm not really from a racing background. It's just that my father always loved doing motorsport. And then one day I just went to a karting track with my dad.
Marta empezó a entrenar con un kart cuando tenía 9 años y empezó a hacer carreras a los 10 años y al año de estar haciendo carreras decidió que quería ser piloto y quería ver si podía llegar a la Fórmula 1.
Since I was small, I always watched Fernando Alonso. He was like my Spanish reference. Of course, now we have Carlos Sainz in Formula 1, and I would also like to be one of them as well in the future. From my start of the season, I said I wanted to be on top 5, but of course, as a racing driver, I want to win.
It's the midpoint of the season, and a meeting is called at WHQ. The bosses aren't happy.
If I look at our 20 drivers, I would say, if I look at who I think's at the peak of the fitness, 5, physically, looking at them physically, compared with a Formula 1 driver. And that doesn't seem to be very good, does it?
Sean Wadsworth, financial backer of the series, doesn't want to see his money wasted.
What I want to show is that, you know, some people are getting fitter and some people are getting fatter.
The drivers are all weighed in before each event, so we have that.
Right.
But if you go to Formula 1, each driver has got the personal trainer, they've got a whole program behind them. We can't do that.
Can we get like a beep test, weight test? I've always worked really hard in my professional career. The frustrations that I'd have with the drivers is how much effort some of them are putting in. Some of them have worked phenomenally hard, and some of them I think are just relieved that they've got to drive and they're not taking it seriously. Not because they're all too nice at the moment. It's all
also on the agenda, plans for next season.
Really, to take it to the next level, there needs to be far more competitive spirit. We need to spice it up a bit. I want us to improve the quality of our field. I think we've got 10 good drivers there, maybe 12 that have got, if you include a bit of potential, and I think we've got 8 that need to go.
So 12, are we happy with 12?
I mean, I'd be tempted to go with 12, and then from there it's at our discretion.
Race 4, the Norris Ring, Germany. The drivers have yet to learn that only the top 12 will be guaranteed a seat next season, but Sean's request for a beep test has made it through.
Megan, I don't want to do this.
Come on.
Keep going.
There are a couple that have maybe not been as committed to the training, and that's been shown in their performances. Vivien and Naomi. It is frustrating because this is an amazing opportunity for them. Alice has a very good level of fitness.
Come on, you two. Alice, Esme, let's go.
She trains very hard and she's very committed to that.
Let's go. Something more.
Alice proves she's fighting fit, despite her shunt in Misano.
Well done.
With beep tests complete, the drivers are summoned to a meeting.
Listen up, everyone. There's a feeling amongst certain people that perhaps some of you aren't taking this seriously enough. And what we're looking for is drivers who understand that to be a successful driver, you've got to excel in every area. I may take a decision that if you're not in the top 12 and we've invested a season into you, I may take a view that actually I don't think you're up to it. So it's going to be hard, it's going to be harsh, but that's how it's going to be. Okay, that's it.
Reality sinks in. At the end of the championship, up to 8 drivers could be cut from the series.
That firmly puts me in the in danger category.
I think everybody underestimated how much pressure this was going to be. I mean, the competition is really stout.
I assumed something like that would happen, and yeah, just got to push to be within that top 12.
Keen to make up points after an enforced absence, Emma Kymäläinen, now recovered from the Hockenheim crash, which kept her out of races 2 and 3.
It feels really good to be back. It's not my first time in a city track, so they are basically usually quite bumpy, and braking is the main thing.
I felt like I'm ready to drive. I had done some karting and some other exercises, and I knew that I'm not having the symptoms.
Emma's back, but some of the other grid slots are up for grabs as Dave Ryan shakes things up.
There's a bit of extra pressure, but it's good pressure because if you get through, you deserve to get through. Megan hasn't been going particularly well, in my opinion, so she's joining the reserves. And actually what will happen is we'll look at Vivien, Sarah and Megan throughout FP1 and FP2, and whoever's doing the best job we'll put forward to qualifying in the race.
During final preparations, there's some unusual and unexpected advice for one of the drivers.
None of the crashes have got above excess. So we've had to pay, not even bloody yours. Wow. If you crash your car, do it properly so we can make an insurance claim. Alice Powell.
You caught that, Johnny, didn't you? Yeah, you did.
Alice and I have a very boisterous relationship, should I say. She's not frightened of taking the mickey out of me, and she's great fun.
Right now for Alice, the serious work of free practice, looking to put memories of Misano behind her. Meanwhile, Jess is quick again, but needs to carry confidence into qualifying.
I feel like it's not a fluke anymore. I've done it too many times for it to be a fluke. So I just need to sort my head out in quali and it'll be all right.
And fighting to stay in the series, Megan's lap times are improving.
For the moment, you are P6, okay? Ahead of the two other reservist drivers. Do you think the tires are over or you can continue to improve? Okay.
I think it was a good session. It felt good. Yeah, I felt I was really going for it. So hopefully it worked out well.
As the first free practice wraps up, news comes through of an incident.
I'm just with James and with Sarah and with Louisa, but we're coming back straight away.
Alice has been hit by Esme Hockey.
We'll see how bad the car is for the other damage, and then we'll check Esme's okay.
The collision was severe enough for Alice to be taken away for treatment.
Alice went to the local medical centre and then she's gone to hospital. She's had an X-ray and she hasn't broken anything. So she's on her way back and we don't know whether she's going to be fit for FP2 or racing FP2.
Alice returns, strapped up, but able to struggle on with an injured wrist.
A little bit bumpy, but it's okay. Thanks for the end of the glove. I have to borrow one of Vicky's gloves because she's got massive hands, and now I've got one massive hand.
But after crashes at Misano and now the Norris Ring, it's a race against time to get her battered car fit for free practice 2, due to start shortly.
I went to speak to Dave and I said, you know, please can I change car? Doesn't feel right. You could say that's a psychological thing, but I just was like, just things keep going wrong. And he said, don't worry, it's going to be okay, it's fixed for the race.
With moments to spare, Alice is back in the car and safely completes FP2. For the reserve drivers, end of practice means it's time to find out who's made it through to qualifying.
So, Vivien, you're through, you're the fastest, and you two are out. Can I just say something to you, and don't take this the wrong way?
Yeah.
You've been so much better this weekend without David. I know that.
Yeah.
So, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, of course.
Because when he's here, your focus is on him, not on driving.
Yeah, the problem is he's trying to have it, but it's two different cars, you know.
Yeah, but he dominates you in that sense. So you tend to just focus on him and what he says, and it's a different you this weekend.
Race day, and first, qualifying. Things are finally looking up for Jess.
Hawkins quickest. We were talking about her having a bit of an Achilles heel when it came to qualifying, but she looks to have got over that battle and is delivering at the moment.
But we ended up finishing qualifying in P6, so that's when I started to convert the speed into qualifying speed.
That's a massive weight lifted off my shoulders.
Diffs broke, I got no drive.
But Alice's woes continue.
Norris Ring. Didn't go great. Had the incident with Esme crashing into me in FP1. Gearbox broke in qualifying before I could do a lap.
Red flag is out. So frustrating. She didn't finish the race in Misano. She needed a good qualifying session today.
I went out, put my foot down. It said it was in third. It was like, and I was like, not to be going.
Alice is forced to the back of the grid. Whilst from nowhere, Marta takes pole for the very first time.
I have to improve, and I knew this was going to be a difficult race for me because of the kind of track.
18-year-old teenager Marta Garcia is on pole position.
Championship leader Jamie is second. Her nearest rival Beitska starts fifth.
And the lights go out in the Norris Ring. It is Marta Garcia who's had a brilliant start, and yes, Jamie Chadwick has lost position, and importantly, she's lost it to Beitska Visser, who is the championship contender.
I had a mega start there, up to second place directly, down the inside of turn 1. At least I managed to keep Jamie behind.
Further down the field, Alice works miracles to make up 10 places to 8th.
Marta Garcia has definitely pulled out a lead now. She's almost a second and a half in front of Beitska Visser.
Marta was quicker than me. We all knew that Norris Ring would be one of her strong points.
But behind them in the closing stages, it's devastation for Jess and Alice.
Her weekend's just got worse and worse. I can't even express how upset she's going to be.
I got from last on the grid up to 8th. My fuel pump broke with about 5 minutes left to go.
I should have scored my first points in Norris Ring. Unfortunately, we had the breakdown. That was tough to deal with.
And I dropped to probably 5th in the championship at that point after being about 2nd or 3rd at Zolder.
Garcia, she's done a very, very strong job.
Marta Garcia takes the win.
Congratulations, you won!
The race is over and emotions are mixed.
Finally, first win in single-seaters and in this championship, which is great, and I'm really happy.
Drive my absolute arse off, I'm just pissed off.
Taking the positives, I'll move forward to the next race, push hard for that one, and see where it goes.
The championship is about Jamie or Beitska, clearly, hopefully going down to Brand Patch.
Marta.
And then, if Marta can pull it out of the bank again, then she's still in the running too.
So you get the prize for the driver of the day and the unluckiest driver as well.
Yeah.
You
I'll
were
change
brilliant.
car now, please.
I might do.
I was very peed off after the race, mainly because I knew how many points were lost. I thought I was going to finish in the top 3 of the championship. It's going to be a lot tougher now.
4 races down, 2 to go. Next time, it's all about Dutch courage in Assen as the W Series heads to the Netherlands.